For more than 4 decades, Voyager 2 drifted alone through the endless darkness of space. Ever since its launch in 1977, it had carried humanity's hopes beyond the boundaries of the known solar system. Its mission had always seemed straightforward. It would visit the giant outer planets, collect as much information as possible, and then continue its lonely journey into the infinite void, where one day its voice would finally disappear forever. No one believed they would ever hear anything extraordinary from it again. But before we continue uncovering this incredible mystery, if you enjoy stories about space, hidden discoveries, and the greatest unsolved mysteries of the universe, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. Your support will help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers, and you won't miss our upcoming investigations into the unknown. After its historic encounters with Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, Voyager 2 completed the mission it had been built for. In 1989, after leaving Neptune behind, it crossed into a realm where sunlight itself grew weak, and the familiar influence of the sun slowly faded away. Beyond the heliopause, where the solar wind surrendered to interstellar space, the tiny spacecraft became little more than a silent traveler drifting through the darkness. It carried with it the famous Golden Record, a collection of greetings, music, and sounds from Earth intended as humanity's introduction to any intelligent civilization that might one day discover it. The spacecraft was never expected to receive a reply. It was designed to send humanity's message outward, not to bring one back. As the years passed, scientists assumed the aging spacecraft would slowly lose power. Instrument after instrument would shut down, until eventually, Voyager 2 would fall permanently silent. Then, the impossible happened. From the emptiness beyond the solar system, Voyager 2 transmitted a signal unlike anything engineers had ever seen. At first, nobody paid much attention. Strange fluctuations occasionally appeared in deep space communications, and the first burst seemed no different from ordinary interference. Engineers at NASA dismissed it as background noise, perhaps the result of aging electronics or random static collected across billions of miles. But the transmission came again, and then it came again. Each burst arrived with astonishing precision, separated by exactly 11 hours. The consistency was impossible to ignore. This was not random interference. Something was producing an organized, deliberate pattern. Inside NASA's control rooms, curiosity quickly turned into concern. Teams began examining every piece of telemetry arriving from the distant spacecraft. What they found only deepened the mystery. Hidden within the bursts were tightly packed frequency loops, unlike any Voyager system had ever been designed to generate. The spacecraft was more than 40 years old. Everyone understood its limitations. Nothing inside its original programming could explain the complexity of what was being received. As scientists studied the transmissions more carefully, they realized the frequencies were following a recognizable mathematical structure. The pattern resembled the Fibonacci sequence, one of the most universal mathematical relationships found throughout nature. From the arrangement of flower petals to the spirals of galaxies, appeared to be woven directly into Voyager 2's transmission. The realization stunned everyone involved. This was no longer a question of electronic interference or random radiation from distant stars. Someone, or something, had encoded mathematics into the signal. The transmission behaved less like a radio burst and more like a carefully designed message. Its structure resembled a spiral, almost like a cosmic fingerprint deliberately left behind for someone capable of recognizing it. For the first time, scientists considered an unsettling possibility. Voyager 2 had not simply wandered through empty space. Somewhere beyond the edge of the solar system, it had encountered something. something ancient, something intelligent, something that appeared to have noticed humanity's tiny spacecraft and deliberately answered it. The probe that had once been built merely to explore had suddenly become something far more important. It had become a messenger. Every new burst of data raised even more questions than the last. What had Voyager 2 found beyond the heliopause? Why was the signal mathematical? Why did it appear carefully structured rather than naturally occurring? And if this truly was communication, who or what was sending it? No one inside NASA had any answers. They only knew that humanity's oldest explorer, drifting silently through the cold emptiness between the stars, had unlocked the first clue to a mystery far greater than anyone had ever imagined. Inside NASA's laboratories, the mystery only grew deeper. As scientists carefully examined the tightly packed frequency loops hidden within the transmission, they began to realize they were looking at something far more extraordinary than simple electronic interference. The loops were organizing themselves into a binary pattern, almost as though someone had deliberately encoded a message inside the signal. At first, the engineers searched for conventional explanations. Perhaps it was an unexpected software fault, a damaged instrument, or some unknown effect of deep space on Voyager 2's aging systems. But every possibility slowly collapsed under closer examination. The transmission behaved with remarkable consistency. It was too organized, too deliberate, to be dismissed as an accident. The conclusion was unsettling. It seemed as though Voyager 2 had not simply wandered through empty space. Somewhere in the darkness beyond the solar system, it had encountered something or someone that had recognized its presence and reached back across the unimaginable distances between the stars. The signal carried an unmistakable sense of purpose. It was precise, structured, and carefully organized, unlike anything produced by natural cosmic radiation. Every new transmission reinforced the same disturbing realization. This was communication, and somehow it appeared to be intended for Earth alone. For the scientists, this marked the moment when the true nature of the mystery finally began to emerge. Voyager 2 had encountered an intelligent phenomenon, one capable of recognizing the tiny spacecraft and responding to it in a way no one had ever imagined possible. NASA immediately shifted into overdrive. For weeks, teams of engineers, physicists, and mathematicians devoted themselves entirely to decoding the strange transmissions. Every burst of data was examined repeatedly, every frequency measured, every pattern compared against known natural phenomena. Then came the first major breakthrough. The signal was not merely organized, it was mathematical. Hidden inside the frequencies was a repeating numerical structure that followed a precise sequence. As researchers continued their analysis, an astonishing discovery emerged. The pattern closely resembled the Fibonacci sequence, one of the most famous mathematical relationships in existence. The same sequence appeared throughout nature, from the arrangement of sunflower seeds and seashell spirals to the structure of hurricanes and even entire galaxies. Now that same mathematical language appeared to be woven directly into Voyager 2's mysterious transmission. Silence filled the control room as the implications became impossible to ignore. This was not random interference. It was not background radiation. It was a carefully constructed message. Rather than behaving like a simple burst of energy, the transmission unfolded in a graceful spiral of mathematical precision, almost like a cosmic fingerprint intentionally left behind by an unknown intelligence. To many of the scientists, the meaning seemed almost impossible to avoid. The message appeared to be calling back toward Earth, announcing that Voyager 2 had encountered something ancient, intelligent, and perhaps something that had been waiting for humanity's arrival all along. Yet every answer created even more questions. What exactly had Voyager 2 found beyond the edge of the solar system? How had a machine built by humans become the carrier of such a mysterious communication? No one could say. The research team realized they had only begun to understand the scale of what lay before them. Voyager 2 was no longer merely a spacecraft exploring interstellar space. It had become the messenger of an intelligence that seemed unimaginably old, an intelligence that had noticed humanity's tiny explorer and chosen to respond. As researchers continued decoding the transmission, the discoveries became even more disturbing. The signal was not simply greeting humanity. It appeared to contain information that hinted at something far darker, something capable of challenging everything science believed about the universe. Then the mystery took an even stranger turn. The spacecraft itself began behaving differently. Without receiving a single command from Earth, instruments that had remained dormant for years suddenly powered themselves back on. Among them was the backup magnetometer, a scientific instrument that had been inactive for decades because of Voyager 2's limited power supply. Yet there it was, operating once again. Even more unsettling was the direction in which it pointed. Instead of scanning randomly, the instrument had aligned itself toward the exact region of space from which the mysterious transmission appeared to originate. Engineers checked the data repeatedly, hoping to find some technical explanation. None appeared. Voyager 2's systems were not randomly reactivating. Every instrument seemed focused on the precise coordinates indicated by the signal itself. To those watching from Earth, it almost looked as though the spacecraft had awakened. Or, perhaps even more disturbingly, as though something beyond Earth had rewritten its purpose from millions of miles away. The evidence pointed toward a possibility that no one inside NASA was prepared to accept. Something far beyond human understanding appeared to be interacting with Voyager 2. The spacecraft was no longer behaving as though it were responding solely to commands transmitted from Earth. Instead, every new piece of telemetry suggested that its systems were reacting to something waiting in the darkness of interstellar space, something that seemed fully aware of the probe's long journey. The implications were staggering. Had Voyager 2 encountered an intelligence capable of influencing machines across unimaginable distances? Or had the spacecraft somehow become more than a silent observer, transformed into an active participant in an event that humanity had never intended to begin? Watching the data unfold, some engineers admitted that it almost seemed as though the aging probe had developed a mind of its own. Not because it had become truly alive, but because something beyond human technology appeared to have awakened it. The discovery forced scientists to question everything they believed about Voyager 2's mission. It was no longer simply exploring the outer limits of the solar system. It had become part of something much larger, a cosmic mystery that threatened to redefine humanity's understanding of intelligence, technology, and even the nature of the universe itself. Yet the deeper researchers looked, the stranger the evidence became. Every new transmission revealed details that were even more difficult to explain. As analysts continued studying the mysterious bursts, they noticed another remarkable pattern. The signals were not appearing randomly. They followed a precise trajectory. To investigate further, astronomers plotted Voyager 2's course against detailed celestial star charts. The results left the research team speechless. The pattern did not simply trace a route through space, it appeared to trace a route through time. The coordinates embedded within the transmission pointed toward regions associated with dense concentrations of dark matter, areas dominated by intense gravitational forces, and the locations of ancient gamma-ray bursts, the most energetic explosions known in the universe. Instead of wandering aimlessly through interstellar space, Voyager 2 appeared to be following a path that intersected with some of the most violent and mysterious environments ever discovered. Then another unsettling realization emerged. The bursts were not merely identifying locations, they appeared to identify events. Some corresponded to phenomena that had occurred billions of years ago, while others seemed to point toward events that scientists believed had not yet happened. The signal resembled less a navigation system and more an ancient map, one guiding Voyager 2 through moments woven into the history of the universe itself. Among the most astonishing discoveries was the realization that the spacecraft's trajectory repeatedly crossed regions believed to contain unusually high concentrations of dark matter. These invisible regions remain among the greatest mysteries in modern astronomy, their true nature still largely unknown. The possibility that Voyager 2 had not only entered these regions, but had encountered something within them raised questions that no existing scientific theory could comfortably answer. If the route had been intentional from the very beginning, then perhaps Voyager 2 had never simply been exploring unknown territory. Perhaps it had been following the ancient footprints of something unimaginably old, unimaginably powerful, and possibly unimaginably dangerous. The thought was impossible to ignore. Could Voyager 2's journey have uncovered traces of an ancient intelligence hidden within the deepest regions of space? And if so, had humanity accidentally awakened something it was never meant to find? While researchers struggled to decode the growing mystery, an entirely new development unfolded much closer to home. Radio observatories across the world suddenly began detecting signals transmitted at precisely the same frequency as Voyager 2's mysterious bursts. At first, the discovery seemed almost reassuring. Scientists assumed the transmissions were simply reflections or distortions produced somewhere near the heliopause, where the influence of the Sun gives way to interstellar space. But that explanation quickly fell apart. The signals became increasingly frequent. Even more unsettling, every transmission matched Voyager 2's timing with astonishing precision. Whatever was happening could no longer be dismissed as coincidence. Something far stranger was unfolding. The mystery took an even darker turn when scientists traced the strange transmissions to an unexpected source. The signals were not coming from deep space alone. They were rising from beneath the Earth's surface. Across the globe, radio observatories began identifying identical transmissions originating from locations that had been silent for decades. The coordinates led investigators to abandoned Cold War listening stations, hidden military observatories, and forgotten research facilities that most people believed had long since become relics of another era. These installations had remained dormant for years, yet, without warning, they appeared to awaken. Old transmitters that had been powered down decades earlier suddenly began emitting electromagnetic waves at precisely the same frequency as the mysterious bursts received from Voyager 2. Technicians found machines activating on their own, systems restarting without human intervention, and equipment broadcasting synchronized pulses as though responding to an invisible command. For the scientists monitoring the phenomenon, the implications were impossible to ignore. Whatever Voyager 2 had encountered in the darkness beyond the solar system was no longer an isolated mystery confined to distant space. Something had answered the spacecraft. And somehow, that same encounter appeared to have awakened something hidden here on Earth. Among researchers, a disturbing theory quietly began to circulate. Perhaps Voyager 2's transmission had acted as a cosmic wake-up call, triggering systems that had been lying silent beneath layers of secrecy for generations. The signals were far too precise to dismiss as interference. Every pulse matched Voyager 2's mysterious frequency with astonishing accuracy. It was almost as though these forgotten installations had spent decades waiting for a particular message. And the moment that message finally arrived, they responded. The obvious questions became impossible to avoid. What had Voyager 2 truly discovered beyond the edge of the solar system? Could the intelligence behind the transmission exist not only among the stars, but also have a hidden connection to Earth itself? The deeper scientists investigated, the stranger the pattern became. Each transmission appeared linked to every other one. Instead of isolated broadcasts, they formed what looked remarkably like a coordinated network that had remained inactive until Voyager 2's signal reached Earth. Cold War-era radio towers, underground bunkers, and long-forgotten observatories once built to search for extraterrestrial communications all began emitting synchronized pulses, as though responding to the same unseen source. The realization was deeply unsettling. Had an invisible force been quietly influencing human history all along? If so, who or what had created this hidden network? Was Voyager 2's mysterious encounter merely the first chapter of a much larger story? Or had humanity unknowingly unlocked a truth far darker than anyone had imagined? As these questions spread through the scientific community, one conclusion became increasingly difficult to dismiss. Voyager 2 had done more than discover evidence of an unknown intelligence. It appeared to have connected Earth itself to an unseen presence that had remained buried beneath the surface, waiting patiently for the right moment to awaken. Now the network was active. Yet no one understood who had built it, why it existed, or what it intended to do. Its true origin remained hidden beneath layers of mystery. While investigators struggled to understand the growing phenomenon on Earth, NASA engineers returned to Voyager 2's telemetry logs, hoping the spacecraft itself might provide answers. Instead, they uncovered another mystery. Hidden alongside the probe's normal transmissions were strange command sequences that should never have existed. These were not instructions sent from mission control, nor were they part of Voyager 2's original flight software. They appeared suddenly, at irregular intervals, woven into the spacecraft's telemetry, as though someone, or something, had inserted them directly into its communications. The discovery stunned the engineering teams. When the mysterious commands were decoded, they resembled legacy NASA command protocols that had been retired decades earlier. Even more disturbing, many of those protocols had never been released outside classified mission archives. Yet, somehow, those same command structures were now being transmitted toward Voyager 2 from an unknown source somewhere beyond Earth. At first, engineers searched desperately for a technical explanation. Perhaps a corrupted memory bank, an aging computer, or some unforeseen malfunction inside the spacecraft could account for the strange instructions. But with every new transmission, that explanation became harder to believe. The patterns were simply too deliberate. Someone, or something, appeared to know exactly how Voyager 2 had been built. As engineers continued examining the mysterious command sequences, another unsettling detail slowly emerged.